Well, welcome everybody to another episode of Recruiters with No Limits Live. Never scripted. I'm here with my co-host and sidekick, John Ruffini. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Richard?
Oh man, I am pumped today. And we got our guest. Look at her. She's ready to rock and roll. Danielle, you ready? Danielle Bufflin from Adecco. Did I get that name right or what?
You nailed it. I am so proud of you.
But you always got to be flashing the guns, don't you?
I know. I was like, easy. You don't want to rip your shirt right away.
I knew she was going to call. Hey, this is stretchable, by the way. That's why I'm so pumped up for this show. I had to wear this shirt. You know that, Danielle.
But yeah, well, I'm all merched out too. Like right away, I'm like, oh, there's my Adecco shirt, my Adecco coffee cup, making sure to get it all in there.
You're promoting the brand, aren't you?
All exactly. Brand. Oh, if they would have sent me glasses and a hat, I would have had it all on. Trying to get my Adecco red lipstick.
Oh my. Well, I just want to give a shout out to Adecco. You know, you guys are doing a great job there. So Danielle, let's just jump into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of history, and we'll go jump into everything about the topic.
Sure. That's let's see. How did I even get in here? Because that's one thing I love on your show is when you guys talk about how did you get into staffing? Because that's so interesting to me because there is not one person that's like, when I was in college, I was like, I should go into staffing.
Right?
No, nobody does that. Yep. Everybody gets into it on accident. And it was, I mean, not to date myself, but it was probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. I was living in Maryland. And
wait a minute, get out. I'm from Maryland. Where in Maryland did you live?
Oh boy.
I lived in Columbia.
I grew up in College Park.
Oh my gosh. It is so beautiful there. But one thing nobody ever warns you about is the summertime. About like you walk outside and it's like a wet, hot blanket.
Yeah, pretty humid. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract, but that just got me really excited.
And I'm from northern Minnesota. So anybody watching that's like, who is this Canadian? I'm actually from northern Minnesota. And so anyways, I was applying for jobs there. And this one guy just kept on me. He's like, no, you need to work for us. And it was a staffing company. And I was like, ew, I'm not going to work in staffing. Like, that's so below me. And I super ego at that moment. Not a whole lot's changed. No, but he kept telling me, like, if this doesn't pan out, you should come and work for us. And I just kind of laughed it off, whatever. Fast forward to, I mean, it was literally like 10 years later. And it ended up that the staffing company I was working for at that time, then I started staffing for the company that I wouldn't take the job for. Like, it was just, it's such a weird atmosphere. And getting into staffing, I was dropping out of nursing school. So shout out to all the nurses. Because if there's an emergency, I need an adult. I'm not there to help you. So I decided to leave nursing school and I saw this job was posted where it was talking about like running a simulation, like where you run a room that's very similar to the work that you have to do in manufacturing, but it isn't like anything like it. But anyways, I thought, I'll just do this for a little bit, see what it's all about and see what next door opens. Cause I'm a super positive person as well. So I always think like if one door closes, like great, on to the next, like what else is out there? So after literally my first week on the job there, 100%, like I drank the Kool-Aid. I like interjected everything. Like I love staffing. And so I've been doing it for, I mean, I'm going on 10 years of doing it now. I mean, like I'm not even that old to be working anywhere that long. Just kidding.
I clearly you're passionate about it.
Yeah. And so I started off as just literally like a part-time. So like at Adecco, we would call those like an in-house associate where you're not a full-time Adecco employee yet. You're kind of like in the temporary role. And so I started there and then just ended up loving every minute of it and just working harder and doing more and trying more things and trying on more hats and pushing the limit. And, you know, if the door wasn't opening, I was pushing it open. Like I was that annoying person. And then, and so I've worked in internal communications. I've worked in learning experience design. And most currently with Adecco, I'm on the marketing team. And it's also that beautiful moment of human connection and having a leader spot you in the crowd and totally believe in you and know what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, my boss right now, I mean, from the time when I was at our previous company, she was like, "You're a marketer." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm all about recruiting." And, like,
What did
I'm
she
just into
notice in
world
you that
domination.
what did she notice in you that led her to uncover something that beneath the surface you didn't even realize that you were passionate about?
So like I said, I live in the most northern part of Minnesota. I literally am 5 miles from the Canadian border. I live in a town of 2,500. I was staffing for a place of 1,500, and there's only about 15,000 people in our entire county. Like, when I say I live on the moon, I literally live on the moon.
You do live on the moon. Wow.
It's minus 30 today, so that's even more exciting. So as you
God.
can tell, like,
Holy cow. I thought Pittsburgh was bad. Damn.
yeah. So what I started to do was, like, I don't know, it's just like, I think with a lot of staffing professionals, you find that, I mean, either they love it or they hate it. And they're either like the ops person or they're like the think outside the box person. I was 100% the think outside the box person of like, I know that there are people here. I know that we can talk people into coming up here. So how do we do that? So, I mean, like, I was going Facebook Live before it was even a thing. People thought I was absolutely crazy.
Love it.
I was working with my cousin at the time, and now we just laugh, and I love to send her reminders of it because she was absolutely my ops person. I was the wild one. And people now, like, when they see me in the store, they're like, "Oh, watch out. She's got her camera out. She's going to go live."
Yes.
Richard loves hearing that.
And then it even catapulted even farther than that, where I would go on the radio and I would talk about all these jobs. And then when I was in a career transition, then the radio came after me and they were like, "Hey, get on here with us." So actually, currently 3 times a week, I co-host a morning radio show and then go on to my normal life. So I'm going to be talking about you guys on Friday.
Wow.
Outstanding.
This is the best. So Danielle, you got to tell everybody out there, how do we connect to get you on this show? This is so funny.
Oh my gosh. So, and that's exactly it. So Staffing Shark, he had pinged me on TikTok, but even before that, I was already cyber stalking him, which he didn't know. Before the show, we talked about it. Because he was either on, I want to say, I need to name drop them because I really love their podcast as well. It was Haley Marketing or the Social Media Examiner. You were on one of them, and I've heard both of you, I want to say on both of them, or your names have been dropped on them. But the first thing that I heard from Richard was, "I don't host career fairs. I host career parties, and I bring the magic and I bring the music. And when I show up, you can feel it." And I was like, "Hold up, who is, like, this guy is like my soul sibling. Like, this is like my spirit animal." I'm like, "What is going on here?" I thought I was the only one that did that. Because I'm also that recruiter that, like, I mean, even as a marketer, like, I will always be a recruiter underneath it all. Like, that's just who I am. That's my brand. That's just, I mean, like, I can hold any position in the company. CEO is what I'm after. Just throwing that out.
Got my vote.
And as I heard from Jordan in 2 weeks ago, what is she? The Chief Exploration Officer? And I really like that title.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Anyways, but I'm that person too, as Richard, you know, like, you bring the party of, like, when you go to a high school, a career fair, the local fair, you go to a parade. I mean, like, I was the one that always showed up with flyers with me. I mean, we had, we have an
Always
annual,
recruiting.
like, fishing tournament up here every year, like ice fishing. So, like, the ice is frozen and then they drill holes and then people put their lines through it. So there's this huge one that they host about 20 minutes from here. And it was like minus 15. And I've got a backpack full of bobbers that had our application right on it. And I was going person to person handing out bobbers.
Smart.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, we got so much creative stuff. I got to share one too. I have beer coasters. So anybody goes to the bars.
Oh my gosh. So many
shark.
times I've said that. Yes. Or if you can go into a bar, into a liquor store, anything, and even inside the bar, if you can get inside of their stalls, even better. I mean, like, I wouldn't walk inside the stall. "Excuse me, I'm hiring. Can I come in there with you?"
You're saying if you can have stuff up on, like, advertising inside there.
Underneath the stall. "Hello?"
But you know what, Danielle? I love it because we're all walking billboards at all given times.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly it. And even, like, and then I'm I'm on the board for our local chamber of commerce, and I can't get that across enough. Like, if you are in the recruiting world, if you're in the staffing world, join your local chamber of commerce. I mean, it opens up so many doors, and people forget. They always think that they're kind of like the in between, the middleman, like that they're not allowed at that table or something. But absolutely, I mean, push that door right open. Your seat is available.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Or even join a wine group anywhere, right?
Yes,
Anywhere.
absolutely.
Well, you're
I
so
don't
right.
know
The
if there'd
local
be wine groups. Maybe like
local
I-
chambers can be so fruitful because that is the
yes.
heart blood of the economy, those local businesses.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
when it comes to networking, you can't put a price tag on that. And
Oh,
that's
the
part of,
connections you build.
oh yeah. And you talk about,
Mhm.
it's not just taking, but that's when you engage and you're able to give back to those community members, and that will
Mhm.
reciprocate itself over time.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, I mean, that's been one of my biggest joys. And even like when I'm not locally recruiting, I mean, like I'm still fully a part of it because I love seeing our local economy grow and just the excitement when new people come to town, especially like as a recruiter. I mean, I'm not even giving anybody any kind of branding advice, but this all goes with branding. When they see you, they know like, oh, there's
Exactly.
Danielle. She can get me a job, or she's going to know somebody that knows something about how I get in here. And still, for that place that I used to recruit for, I still get messages all the time like, hey, I put in my application, or hey, my son is starting next week. I just had this last week where it was like, my brother's going to be starting and he's a little bit nervous. And I'm like, no problem. Here's who he's going to meet. This is where he's going to go. And I don't even have any connection with that. But I still know everybody there and celebrate everything that they're doing, even if I'm not working there. Like, I'm still excited about the work that's being done.
So help us understand, and for the folks that are listening and watching. So when I think of branding, I think of, okay, there's a personal brand. Clearly, you have a very unique and distinct personal brand, but there's also a corporate brand for the company you work for.
Yep.
So where's the fine line, and how do you coach people on making sure that they align in the right way and that they're not sending mixed messages? Like, what goes into putting those
Oh,
two
I
brands
love
together?
that. I love that
Mm.
question because I'm like, get in here. This is your brand now. Everything that we do on a corporate level, you have to do too. Just kidding. But
Well, some companies are like that, though.
yeah, and
Yeah, they are.
honestly, from my personal perspective, is there's been so many times where a lot of like our new recruiters have never recruited before, or never, or they're young and this is like their first real job. So it's also our job for people that are tenured in the company, in the industry, to walk them through what does branding mean? Like, what do our core values mean? What do our mission statements mean? Like, that is all about our brand. And then also, another piece that I like to share with them is not only looking at the Adecco brand and what we have to offer, but who your client that you're staffing for, you've got to have their branding guidelines down as well. I mean, we are 100% like, we're almost like the, what's the word I want to use? I wanted to say like the ringmaster, but that sounds really bad.
Yeah, go for it.
We're that middle person, I mean,
Right, you're an extension of that company because you're helping them find
we're their
talent.
partner, and we're there to support them and to make sure that we're aligning our values with them as well. So that would be my biggest coaching takeaway is, I mean, look at the values even before you start with a company. I mean, like, everything is online. Like, go study everything you can. I mean, that's even, in the marketing world that I'm in. I mean, like, one day I might be living in manufacturing. The next day I might be living in engineering. The next day I might be in creative and marketing. Like, I mean, and it can even go hour by hour in this role. And so that's my first go-to, is to investigate everything I can about the client, about what do their reviews look like? What is their mission statement? Like, what are the pictures on their website? Like, what's the feeling that I'm getting from them? And that's, I mean, truly what branding is at the end of the day. I think it's that human connection, that feeling, that energy that you can provide.
You're totally right on that. It's bringing excitement to the person. I mean, that's what they want, right?
I got
How
so
often
excited.
do
I think
you-
I forgot to breathe there. I was like,
You
and
did.
then
No, that was good stuff. We love it.
No, that was
How often do you find, Danielle, where a company may be saying one thing, like, this is who we are, this is our brand, but then when you look deep down at their print media and the pictures on social, et cetera, it's conflicting.
Oh, and that is one thing that I can say 100% and stand behind, that Adecco is so amazing at, is literally partnering with that client to go through that exercise to say,
Mm.
all right, let's look at this brand. Let's see like where we've been, where you want to take it, like what is the future conversation here? Like, and actually doing that exercise. I mean, like I've done that personally with some of our clients of saying, okay, so this is what we're hiring for, but like this is what your job descriptions look like, and this is what the pictures look like. Like it looks very cold, it looks very not welcoming on the
Yes.
website. Like, how
Yeah.
do we change that? And then it was like, oh gosh, I didn't even think about that. So, and that's where I think I'm like, if I'm your ideal candidate and I'm going there and I'm talking to you and I know that you're warm and bubbly, and then I go look on your site and it's just gray, cold steel, I'm like,
Mm.
ooh. So, so we do a really great job of partnering with that and just giving them some examples and some case studies of things that actually we have done that have worked with other companies that we can help them with.
Good stuff.
You
We
What's
have
your
mentioned, you
all
take?
mentioned
the
job,
answers.
you mentioned job descriptions, and I know that strikes a chord with Richard. Job
Oh
postings.
gosh. Oh,
Keep it-
job descriptions are not job postings.
Thank you.
Let's call it out.
Exactly. Keep it short and simple. What do I always say, Danielle? I always say it's like a Netflix trailer. You know,
Yes.
30 seconds, get them excited. They'll come in the door. The rest is history. That's when you sell yourself.
Yes, and that is exactly it. And that's every Thursday I actually host an internal colleague call where we just talk about social media and posting. And I mean, that's one of my biggest things. I'm like, you have 2 thumb widths that you have to get somebody's attention. What are you writing? What are you showing? What video
Oh,
are
I
you
love that.
producing?
2 thumb widths. That's a
That's
good way of
it.
looking at it.
Yes, that's it. Boom, you're done. So
What do you think of videos,
so
Danielle, out there, real quick? What do you think of the videos? Like, I see so many videos that are
oh
silent.
gosh.
I
And
think
I
you gotta
know
have
everybody in
movements.
Adecco is going, don't ask her, because
Yes, videos. Go for it.
oh gosh, I am all about video. People don't read. People don't slow down. People, that is totally
You are so
normal
right.
human interaction.
We're all
And so
hyperactive.
video, yes, if you
Mhm.
can do anything with video, even if it's just scrolling words, even if it's just a quick like in your face, hello, this is what we're doing, that is where the future is going. And I mean, we're already, have 1 foot in the metaverse. There's 300,000 users. Are you guys in there?
Absolutely.
You know it.
Good
Actually, no,
Lord.
I was super cheap and I was on Amazon looking like, what's the cheapest VR, goggles that I can get so I can join the metaverse already, because I want to be the first staffing agency in there.
Ooh.
Look
I
at
know, I shouldn't be
ooh.
saying that out loud on here.
Ooh, you maybe a little
Said it.
challenge here. The shark will come with you.
Yeah, Richard, just like you, is very out of the box, and I love that about both of you. Is that it's like, and that's how you truly can really take things to another level. Is why be confined? Nothing is off limits. Try different things. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to try something new,
Mhm.
because it's that you get into that same pattern. So many recruiters do it the same.
Mhm.
It's like, come on, break that mold.
Yep. And just, yeah. And again, I mean, like our strongest brand at Adecco is that human connection. And just, I mean, the door is open. Walk in Wednesday. Like, come in and see us. Like,
Mm.
don't be afraid. Like, we're always here. We've never left. I mean, we've been virtual and in person. I mean, like, I'm so jealous of people that are close to branches. Like, I think the rest of the field is like, thank God you're not close to our branch. I would be in there all the time. Like, what's going on? What are we doing
That's
today?
hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just because I love that human interaction and the thinking outside and like meeting candidates where they are. Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok?
yes.
Are they
Mm.
in the mall? Go meet them.
You know what the best thing is, Danielle? And I do this on Sundays before the football games. I meet them at Panera Bread. 5 of them.
Yes.
We do the application online on the app. Boom, done.
Yeah.
They love that. They're out of
And
the
oh my gosh,
office.
to your point, when you get somebody in front of you, get them as far as you can in the process before you let them go. Like,
Oh, they don't go unless they get a handshake by me. It's a handshake and you're
yes.
hired. Bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yep. And that's one of my biggest key takeaways is like, do not let them go. And especially, I mean, time right now, time is our biggest enemy.
It's hard
I
enough to
mean,
get people either in front of you or on the phone. You're absolutely right. Once you get them,
yes.
it
Yep.
may, you never know when you're going to get them again. So
Exactly. Yep.
absolutely.
And I mean, and a huge shout out to everybody in our Deco field. I mean, they are literally our on-sites, our SPMs. I mean, they are 100% the heart of our entire company. And I mean, they are the true heroes and the true champions of all of this. Like, we would not be in these roles without them.
They're the face of the company.
Yep, absolutely.
And you know what? You guys are always decked out in red. Every time I go to a career fair, you can't miss a Deco. I mean, it's boom. They're in your face.
Yeah, that's my lipstick is a Deco red.
Is it really called a Deco red?
No, but I'm going to call it that. I
would have been real impressed if you had your own line of lipstick for a Deco.
Yeah.
You guys have to send me and John a shirt, a Deco red shirt. We'll wear it on the show.
Oh my gosh. We should have done that before the show.
Well, we can have you on again. Send us a shirt. We'll wear it, right, John?
I need to flip the script for a sec. How did you guys get into staffing?
Wow. Richard, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. My previous life, I was a probation officer. How about that? And then I decided to get into sales.
And it's just like a different form of it, right?
Yeah, it was the coolest deal around for 10 years. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. You know, giving everybody a break. So I got into sales, and actually this company in Pittsburgh, I went for the sales job, and the recruiter's like, dude, we're not letting you go. You want to be a recruiter in New York City for a year? I'm thinking New York City, it's paid for the MTA subway system. And 11 years later, here I am doing my own thing. So it's a blessing. And all I can say is, I'm like you, Danielle and John, I eat and sleep this. Like, this is not even work. This is freaking fun.
Yes. And getting those young recruiters to understand that the work that we are putting people in, our noble purpose is literally to provide that stability. Everything else in your life can be falling apart, but your job will remain.
Exactly. And you know what? As a recruiter, you're never off the clock. It's 24/7. You don't take lunch breaks.
That's in marketing. I'm like, because they're like, wait, did you really respond to somebody on Christmas? And I was like, no. I was just sitting at my parents' house. Like, what is the big deal?
Well, that's part about building that relationship. I mean, those are, when you talk about being accessible and humanizing your own personal brand. I mean, that's something that when you've got your candidates that they feel comfortable enough to call you off hours, even if they're having a problem or they need to vent to someone, that's where you've really done it right as a recruiter, because you built that deep of a relationship.
Oh my gosh. And when you say that, John, that was another thing too, of like, so much of Facebook has now turned into kind of a customer service platform, right? Like, people go there to vent, to say how much they love us, how they can't live without us. I mean, that's what I'm reading. That's all I'm seeing.
That's all you ever hear about it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's only positive.
And one of my favorite things is, like, when I'm in there answering like reviews and questions and things like that, is immediately they think I'm a bot. They think that, like, can I talk to a real person? And that's when I'm like, hey, John, my name is Danielle. I'm up in Minnesota. I'm actually a real person. So anybody that's talked to Danielle on the Adecco Staffing USA national page, that was me. And so, and because that's exactly it. I'm a real person. They're a real person. Like, I want them to know that whatever they're going through matters. And we've got an entire department called the Associate Care Team. Huge shout out to them. And that is their whole job, to make sure that if something isn't right, if something needs to be fixed, that, I mean, they swoop in. And I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. They're like the moms. Like, they're like, come on, let's get this going. Let me help you out with this.
So what advice, you mentioned you got, with big companies, and I've been a part of both big companies and small companies. Big companies have big departments, big resources, et cetera. So you can have folks dedicated to roles like that. You can have folks set up, okay, you're going to manage our social presence. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Within smaller companies, what advice do you give smaller companies that don't have the large resources, and you got people wearing multiple hats, but they still want to dedicate, like, how much time do you put into managing your social presence, for example, if you're an organization?
Gosh,
I mean, that can be a full-time job, and in some cases it is.
So that's what I love so much about, like, that has been my whole life working in staffing. I went from the United States' largest staffing company to working for the second largest global staffing company. So I've only known these massive companies, but because, and it could be my arrogance, ego, I don't know, I run like this is my company. Like this is what I do.
A lot of ownership.
Yes. And I appreciate that so much about Adecco is they let the branches, I mean, there is very much autonomy there of they get to run on their own and like kind of create their own environment. I mean, they have a lot of branding guidelines, of course, to follow and a lot of processes to follow. But at the same time, I mean, like you walk in and you have that warmth and that feel of walking into a home. I mean, like one day they were baking cookies. Like 2 weeks ago, there was one branch that was like, oh, we had a cookie baking contest. And I was like, brilliant. It's like realtors. When they're going to sell a house, they go bake cookies first. So when you walk in and it feels like home. Oh my gosh. Thanks so much. That's my friend Joe.
And you have more.
The curation team. But that's exactly it is really our social presence. I mean, everybody lives online.
Yep.
Like we're in an on-demand society of whether it is your Amazons or your Netflix or anything like that. I mean, people, they want an answer and they want it fast.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like before I was looking at old guidelines and it was like, don't spend all your time on social media. And I'm like, scratch that off.
How funny is that?
Get in there.
You are so right on that.
Yeah.
And you know what? The changing environment, like even when you text people, I joke, I say, I'm going to buzz you, B-U-Z-Z. That's that like being cool.
Yep.
You know, hey, what's up, guys? And stuff like that. I think we have to be ourselves. Do you agree, Danielle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like right when we started, you guys totally broed out at the beginning of the session before Richard started flexing.
You're never going to live that down, are you? Oh, man.
But see, Richard can flex because Richard has the guns to flex. It's just man envy.
Well, thank you. Hey, I'm getting ready for staffing world. I got to be pumped up. I got another 6 months, right?
But it's that relationship building. I mean, that's 100% with branding 101 is that relationship that you are creating, whether it's in person or online. I mean, you know, and if you feel like your personal brand and your company brand aren't aligning, like, unfortunately, it's a candidate's market. So go ahead, figure out who you want to be, what you want to be. But I mean, just so you guys know, Adecco is hiring. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, free advertising right there.
Always.
We'll get the contract on the back end on this. All right. So.
But getting back to that though, I mean, these are great questions. And who did you have on yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week? He had a great accent too. And I was listening to it last night just to make sure that I was up to par with everything. Like, gosh, are they going to be throwing like crazy questions? He had a great accent. He was like Irish or Scottish. I'm totally.
That was Johnny Campbell.
Yes. And oh my gosh. And I was like, wait, what is this ninja course? Does he still have it? I would love to be a ninja.
They've evolved. Wow. They've done so much for our industry, and now they've taken it to a whole new level. When they first started, that I was one of the first people at the company I worked for at the time, signed up with them, and we were one of the first ones to put people through their sourcing ninja course because it was all about sourcing at that time. Now they've expanded to a lot more beyond that, but they were one of the first companies in the industry to show recruiters how to go beyond the traditional sourcing methods and find people on the web, but not necessarily on a site, and really dig for it and uncover these people. They do some really cool stuff.
Going back to that online presence too, I mean, like you might talk somebody in that has only had like hospitality roles, and you might tell them like, hey, we have something else that might fit you even more, where you don't have to work in the hospitality role anymore. And one of my, I shouldn't even be giving away these secrets, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. When I was a recruiter, somebody had once said to me, it was one of my good friends. So she had started off, she went to school to be an air flight attendant. Is that what they're still called?
Flight attendant.
Yes.
Flight attendants.
So flight attendant. And then she went to customer service, and then she went to baggage claim. And I was like, well, that's a different career path. Okay. And I'm like, Kara, I feel like you're going backwards. And she said to me, and it's like the lights turned on. She said, I would rather go home physically tired than mentally tired. And I was like, oh, that never occurred to me. So, I mean, when you have people that are just like, I mean, they might be teachers, nurses, nurses and teachers, that's probably a bad example because they are physically tired. They're running all the time. But I mean, when you're in a role, if you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling like, oh, like I just can't keep doing this, I can't keep staring at these reports or, coming up with the answer, like that is one thing that is beautiful about Adecco and the staffing world is that you can try on a new hat. You can
Yep,
try on a
exactly.
temporary role. Go into manufacturing. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, go try on something new. Like,
Which
why
I
not?
love, manufacturing. You know that. Light industrial is the best. You know that,
Oh,
right?
oh my gosh, I could talk all day long about
Entertainment every day.
that.
Well, and what's
Every
interesting
day.
is,
And the
people.
way you can grow inside of it. Sorry,
Well,
John, go
and
ahead.
no, that's okay. You're right along the same lines.
Mhm.
The attitude toward career growth is evolving because
Yes.
it used to just be career growth had to go up. There was
Yep.
one path, you had to go up. And really,
Mhm.
it's not about up because you can still grow laterally within an
Mhm.
organization. You can grow with different roles. As long as the person feels like they are growing, because it takes people sometimes a while to figure out, all right, what should I be doing?
Mhm.
And it's not a bad thing to look at if you hire somebody into a role and they're good for your brand, they're good for your culture, they
Yep.
might not be good for that role.
Mhm.
So help them find another role that
Oh
they
my
enjoy
gosh.
more. And
Yes.
and that is part of growth now in
Yep.
today's culture
Mhm.
because not everybody wants to nor should they go up. It's
Yep.
not necessarily the mindset has to change and I think it's doing that.
And that's exactly it. And especially when you're in that role, when you're partnering with your client and you're able to know that person, where they come from, where they want to go, and to share that information with your client to say, hey, I've got Richard starting here. And even though his background is in probation, we really think that he might be a great role for XYZ of the company. And I mean, that's one thing when I was an on-site, I loved doing. I loved finding somebody that well, I would say overall, I mean, like in the staffing world, there are so many people I think that we meet with and that we connect with that have truly never had another adult look them in the eye and tell them, I
So
believe in
true.
you and you're going to do amazing things. And to literally just
Mhm.
be that person. I mean, like, I live in a small community, but like even when I was like remote recruiting and like flying all over the country, I mean, people would, if I saw them afterwards, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I want you to meet my kids. I want you to," and like I'm a people person, so I'm like, I'm gonna kiss your baby. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's
But you're
awesome.
so right with that, Danielle. It's about showtime. Every time
yeah.
you get with a candidate, it's almost like I feel like I'm Kenny Chesney. It's like I'm going to bring the entertainment to you and get you a job.
Yes.
And then when you get them a job, you fist pump them or give them a hug. It's like, they're
Oh
like,
Best
gosh.
you
feeling.
care about me.
And when they come in and then like once you convert them, so anybody
Oh,
that's not in the staffing world, once you make them like you give them over to the client where they become like they work for the client. Once they're doing that, I mean, like as an on-site, I had people that were stopping in that were like, I just put the first down payment on my house.
Mm.
I just bought a new car. And I mean, like I'm crying with them, I'm celebrating with them. I mean, things
yes.
like that. Like that is why we choose staffing. And that 100%, if that's your brand, if that's what you love, staffing is for you and Adecco is hiring.
Doing. She said that 4 times. Keep going. Come on.
She,
One more time,
and she's not.
Danielle. Can you do an
It's gonna
advertisement
be
for
like
Deco?
on Super Troopers when he says meow at the
Oh my
car
gosh, I
so many
love that
times.
scene.
I'm just gonna
Love
be
that scene.
Adecco's hiring. All right.
Oh, that's funny. But you're right because as in the staffing world, it's not just if you're in the staffing business. If you're in
Mhm.
it to just it's transaction here, it's transaction there. You might not be in the right role,
Yep.
because you've got to realize and you've got to take it personal that everybody you touch, you're impacting lives, and
Yes.
it's
Yep.
huge different. Yes, people get into staffing and recruiting because it is commission based. You can make a lot of money. I get that,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the process, you are impacting lives, and there's not
Mhm.
not every career option can provide that opportunity.
Oh,
So
and
true, John.
I used to be that person too. Like the first time I had ever heard the term like filling orders, I was like instantly grossed out by it because I'm like, no, we're putting people to work. We're putting great people in great jobs. We're not filling orders like walking through and
Oh, I
grabbing
hate
stuff
that
off the
word. I
shelf.
hate that. Orders. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like and now like being in the industry like it's a normal lingo, but like at the time like I was so like offended by it. Like how dare you? Like we have noble purposes.
Well, it's
Oh,
kind of
they're
like
going to be like candidates.
I've always had a pet peeve about the words fit and match. It's like you're
Oh,
not
yeah,
finding
like
a
are you a
fit.
right fit? Yes.
It's like okay, I get that we use that lingo, but it's not a fit. It's
Yes.
it's an
That's
opportunity
like a
that's
dating
going to,
site. Yeah.
benefit their career. So yeah,
That's a really
exactly.
great call out though, because I was actually working on some ads and I was looking at that, like, found your right fit. And I was like, I don't know, that doesn't feel right. Like that feels like it has a negative context on it.
Well, how often do recruiters say that and they don't even know the person?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like, how
That's
can you
exactly.
say that I'm a perfect fit or you've got the perfect job for me if you never get to know me? And
Yep.
that again differentiates from, the good recruiters to the great recruiters.
So
Yeah.
true. And
And
Danielle,
I'm
you're gonna love this real quick. I gotta tell you.
yes.
I have shirts I wear to the gym with Staffing Shark on it. And it says "Get hired by the Shark."
See,
I
that's
recruit at the
exactly. You're
gym.
always branding. You're
I
always
swear.
going
People
after
are like,
Smart.
are you the gym shark or the staffing shark? Where can I get these shirts at? I'm thinking, hold on. Where can I just let everybody, yes, we are gonna have the shirts later on.
But wait,
Richard's like,
before
I'll
we
put you
run
to
out of
work, and by the
time,
way, they're $15.99. You can buy a
yeah.
shirt.
John,
Or
I
a
never
protein
did hear
shake.
your story of how you got into staffing. And looking
Oh,
at your background, I know that you were with Ron said before, and then it was one of our sibling companies, and now I can't
Agilon.
remember. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
spent a couple years
I
with
was like,
Agilon.
whoa.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
like, we almost worked together in a parallel universe.
So it like everybody else, I took a weird path. I mean, my degree was in computer science, so I was a programmer out of school, and realized after doing that for 7 years that I really didn't have a passion for it.
Mhm.
So I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I reached out to a recruiter who we hired people from, and he said, "Come in." We sat down for about an hour. He picked my brain, and next thing I know, I was working for that company.
Just cold calling everyone.
He was the only recruiter that would meet with me because I was looking to change careers, and I had all these recruiters saying, "Well, send me your resume." And I'm like, "Well, my resume doesn't say what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I want to talk about
Right.
someone." And this was the only person that said, "Come in, let's talk." And after about an hour of talking
Mhm.
with me, he said, "Have you ever thought about recruiting?"
Mhm.
And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. He is still a very close friend and mentor to me today.
Mhm.
And it was, again, I'm blessed to be in this business, and it's it's all I know and all I want to know professionally. I mean, it's great.
Oh man, I
Danielle, he
you
didn't
just
know
hit me
that
right in
20
the
years,
feels there.
he didn't know 20 years ago he's gonna be a co-host too on a podcast, right?
That's
Right?
right. Look,
Yes.
staffing brought Richard and I together, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys do such a great job though. And I mean, you're just like in totally different realms and have different backgrounds where it really pulls people together to say,
You know what the big
you
thing
know,
about it, Danielle? We're just having fun. We're having fun, and
yes,
it's a talk show. There's only one talk show out there in the staffing industry. It's us. There's no scripts. We just have fun on there. We want to educate everybody with
yeah.
energy.
Well, and I'm thinking back to when I was in high school and they were like, what do you want to be? And I think I remember writing like, I'd really like to be like Oprah.
That's
Here I
setting the
am.
bar high.
Okay.
I like
It's
that.
me, Oprah. Let me tell you about my
Um,
favorite things.
I
You
love
get a
it.
car. You get a car. You get a car.
And instead, I'm like, you get a job, you get a job, you get a job.
Oh my goodness. Just as bad as the job agent. Show me the money, show me the job.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's my tagline.
Exactly.
But hey, John, we got to wrap things up here because everybody has to go back to work. I mean, we're going to have
Gotta
a
have
mini
you back,
series here.
Danielle.
This is a
Gotta
mini
have you
series with
back.
Danielle.
Yeah,
Yes,
we definitely got to have her
absolutely.
back.
Yeah, I would love to.
You talked about so much, and two things that I'll take away. One, just reemphasizing that it's humanizing everything. Be human, and
Mhm.
that's part of your brand. It should be authentic. But when you said that you have two thumbs to catch someone's attention on social media, that just it makes it all real. When you look at that, it's like, wow, okay, so that
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what's it? People say, when you're on the phone, you have 10 to 15 seconds to get someone's attention with your
Mhm.
intro. In today's world on social, when you're scrolling through a phone, you got two thumbs. So I will never forget that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly it. And even to like the other recruiters, look at what you're posting. Would you stop at that?
Exactly.
Just ask yourself that immediately. Would I stop at that?
Look at that, John.
Ah, thank you, Christy Joe. Look at that.
Yes.
Yes. Shout
That
out.
is fantastic. Thank you guys. Seriously, it was my honor.
So
Absolutely. To be
Danielle,
on
real
this
quick,
show. I
where
was so
can
excited about it.
everybody find you at? You're on every social media platform. Just
Oh,
TikTok? Where
yes.
can they find you at?
Yep. TikTok at Deco USA. That's me. And I have a 13-year-old son, and he refers to my TikToks as cringy. What? There's no
Cringy?
cringe in my TikTok.
Wow.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. Absolutely, add me on there. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Any of the Adecco Staffing USA. I mean, it's basically a direct line to Big Dan.
That's awesome. So you are managing all of that for Adecco.
Yep, there's a whole team of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm really nosy and I like to touch too many things. So thanks, team, for always allowing me to do that.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Danielle, once again, thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle from Adecco, the one and
Thank you
only.
so much.
I'm
Thank you
having
guys
so much
so
fun
much.
here. We could be going on and on for this, but hey, we'll see you
Yes.
guys next week on another episode. But once again, the one and only Danielle from Adecco. I love saying that. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week.
Thank you
Take care.
guys
We'll
so
see you next
much.
week.